what was the strangest is the different social role that university has over here.
Where I come from, when you go to universities, like everything, you're sort of by yourself, and the whole, idea of going to university is sort of giving you this ticket that, you're now being responsible for everything you do.
You are expected to be a grown-up person who knows who they are, who knows what they are doing and why they are doing what they want to do.
So you have to sort of choose your career right in high school.
People tend to be at least a year older when they go to university.
In Kenya, once you're 18, you're basically responsible for everything you do, and so around the time you're going to university, you're already 18.
But it doesn't really change anything for an international student when they come here, because you still have your 4 years ahead, and you're within your class, and you're within a certain social situation is not really prepared for an incoming student to be focused on a certain career choice.
And I have friends, US, American friends, who they pretty much still don't know what they want to do.
Well, I came here knowing for about 5 years that what I want to do is film. And people will ask me, oh, have you thought about your major yet? And I say, well, yes, I came here in order to major in film. And then they ask me, come on, wait a minute, what year are you again? And, oh, you are only a freshman? No, well, you will change your mind 100 times. You cannot possibly know what you want to do.
I didn't have a hard time going into the classes because the teachers that I had before used to teach like that, so I was used to it. Where the classroom is very interactive, where the classroom is not, where you have a grade system that builds up to your grade. It isn't one entire grade at the end. So in that way, I was really kind of blessed in that way. But I do know other people who have had a really hard time.
I came to the United States because I always thought that the education system was one which was a lot more open and flexible, but somehow it didn't occur to me that there would be these gross flip sides that I would have to deal with.
3 classes. I was really happy about that. I thought it was going to be pretty easy, 3 classes. But I'll tell you, it's 3 classes, but whatever you're doing there, it's quite a lot of work.
The big shock for me in terms of academics was the fact that everything was cumulative and exactly what cumulative meant.
I definitely think this is so much better. Yeah.
Well, there are some drawbacks. First of all, I found that I didn't have enough time to master the material. In addition to the fact that Dartmouth has 10-week terms, just the inherent cumulative system of education in America means that after doing 3 weeks of material, you're going to be tested on that 3 weeks of material. And what I found was, let's say, for example, by the end of 6 weeks, everything would start to click. But at the end of 6 weeks, 6/10 of my grade had already been decided, and there was nothing I could do about it. And that frustrated me.
I didn't find the classes to be particularly difficult or demanding. Oh, okay, sorry. They are demanding, but it is nothing too overwhelming. It hasn't been too overwhelming for me.
The way in which the material was presented was different from back home. I'm not sure if this is so much a British system with regards to an American system, but we were presented with the foundation, the basics of the material. And then it was up to us to go and ask the questions that would take us deeper and deeper into material. How I found the material was presented to us here was that we were given everything with not as much emphasis on what were the fundamentals. And so I found myself having to ask the questions that would take me back to what exactly is the point of all of this?
Technology has been quite something for me, you know, coming from a place where, well, I remember like the first time I ever touched a computer, that was in '97, just touching, but like getting all of this into, you know, internet, whatever, and like email, that I got to do here. And I remember my first English class, and after that class, the prof was like, you have an essay that's due, you know, by the next class, and it has to be 3 to 4 pages long. And I was so shocked because this was the first class, and we had to have typed, double spaced, whatever that meant to me. I didn't know.
I had to face this whole issue of dropping the course because it wasn't going too well. But dropping the course was not an option for me because at home we don't drop courses. You just have to persevere. And in a sense, that is something which is considered the better thing to do. Dropping the course would suggest that you're a quitter and that you can't handle the stress. You're held in higher esteem for persevering, for sticking out the course. But I had to face this issue. I met with my advisor, and here it is, my advisor is telling me that, you know, probably you should consider quitting. That's how it sounded to me.
Generally, when you first meet people, you got to be nice to them. You got to pretend to be happy, shake their hand, ask a few simple questions. What courses are you taking? Where do you come from? Etc. etc. And be careful about their personal space.
There's also a very different definition of privacy here at Dartmouth that as compared with in Trinidad, where your friends are allowed to get into your personal space. And I definitely saw that there was a greater region of personal space for people here.
Occasionally I had problems with the handshake. I do recall several occasions where I may have unconsciously neglected the handshake. And I think that was somewhat awkward. I realized shortly after that the other person felt a bit offended by that.
For 3 long months, nobody has hugged me. And I couldn't believe it really. Like, I was looking through my memories, you know, week by week, and I knew it was true, but it just seemed so abstract, like absurd.
I don't like people to do that to me, so I try not to do it to them.
It affected my relationships with people because I wasn't too sure if the boundaries that they were setting were boundaries especially set for me because they didn't want me to be particularly close to them, or if it just was a cultural norm here at Dartmouth.
I suppose one has to get used to the institutional framework in which American society operates. The greetings, the handshakes, just the tone of the conversation, the tone of first encounters with strangers, you know.
The paradigm of friendship in Trinidad is so different from the paradigm of friendship here at Dartmouth, at least.
I have some great American friends, but I always have to be aware of their culture and their way of being, which is just different than mine.
For example, if at home one of my friends doesn't look too well or looks as if something is bothering him or something's bothering her, you know, I'll go up to her and say, "Something's wrong? Tell me, what's wrong?" She may say, "No, you know, nothing's wrong, don't worry about it." I am expected to, and in most times I want to, say, "Oh, come on, no, I know you, something is definitely wrong, tell me what it is." And you say, "Well, you know," and then she'll probably start to tell me a little bit and a little bit more. It's expected that I do that. You're my friend, I want to be there for you. And that is a way in which I'm expected to be there for you, and you allow me to be there for you.
Whereas over here, when you see that somebody is sad, your friend, and you ask them, what's wrong, what's up? When they say they are okay, you are supposed to believe them.
Here, if something's wrong, I found that people say, no, everything's okay. And I was not expected to push that beyond that because it would be rude. I didn't know that it was rude.
And I just felt that some people really didn't want me like to stay with them or even to try to offer any kind of support, because perhaps it would imply that they are weak or they cannot help themselves.
In some cases I would either end up being rebuffed because people think that I'm stepping out of bounds, or in other cases where I just let it be. I think I ask myself, is this person really my friend or not?
And on the other hand, when I had a problem, and some kind of a problem, and I felt like talking to somebody, quite often I could feel that this other person is bewildered, like they don't really know what to do with it. And I would start talking about, this bad thing that happened to me, or those sad thoughts I've been having, and I could just see this barrier, this wall growing between us, and you're like, okay, I am not your shrink, I don't have to know about that. And this is just very different than back home.
There was this one person by the name of Alex who became a really close friend of mine. One fine evening we were talking about the different kinds of fruits and nuts and trees that grew in different parts of the world. And I told him that India was really famous for this type of nut called the neja. And he said that he had never heard about it before. And I said that when I would go back home in the winter term for winter break, I would bring back some of this nut and give it to him so that he can taste it and try it out. He had talked to me about the nut called the pine nut, and I had never heard about this before. And he said that Nevada, which was where he came from, was pretty famous for it, and he would go back home in winter break and bring some over for me to try out in winter term. A strange thing happened. When we both brought back this type of nuts in winter term, we discovered that they were exactly the same type of nut. I don't know how it happened. I don't know what to think of it. I didn't know how to figure it out. But it just happened.